Hello and welcome to HNB Conversations with Cosmo and Rivka.
We are back.
Yeah.
Had a couple of weeks off.
I don't know that I that sounds like we were like chilling, like we went on vacation. We did not go on vacation.
Correct. I mean, a couple of weeks that we haven't done a podcast.
No, we've been traveling and packing and then unpacking, and I personally am completely exhausted.
Yeah?
Yeah. I am. I'm really tired. And I don't even know what it's going to take to recuperate. I think it might take the rest of my life. That's how it feels right now.
Go.
That's how it feels.
So we are recording our podcast from Ozark, Missouri.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really pretty here. Kind of humid. But, it's been raining. That's why. Which, rain is wonderful.
Yeah. Is nice.
It's nice. Okay, so today I have the hello word of the week, I guess we call it. Okay, I'm just tired.
The greeting of the week.
The greeting of
hello word.
See,
it felt like
I'm tired. I'm really tired.
It felt like, you know how people say, hello world? That's what it felt like. We have the hello word.
Oh,
but
okay.
Anyway.
All right, so the word that we're
world.
looking at first, so it's Lithuanian, but it's the same hello is also for Latvian, the Latvian language. And these are two nations that are, Latvia and Lithuania, are two nations that are
neighbors.
They're neighbors. They have the same border. So I'm thinking maybe they speak the same language.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
It's possible.
However, so we're looking at Latvia, Lithuania, and the word for hello is sveiki. Sveiki. Like it's Sveiki. Sveiki.
Sveiki.
Sveiki.
Well, I was looking up when you said you were going to talk about Lithuania. Mm-hmm. I looked up on Wikipedia.
It's Eastern Europe.
It's Eastern Europe. Yeah, it was formerly part of the Soviet Union.
Right.
And but I wanted to know what are the demographics there, and surprisingly, I looked up ethnic groups, and the majority of the residents of Lithuania are Lithuanians.
Shocking.
Yeah. So 85% Lithuanians live in Lithuania. Then 6.5% Poles, 5% Russians, 1% Belarusians, and 0.5% of Ukrainians. Though that may be different now with the Ukrainians having, although I don't know if they want to go to Lithuania or not. Anyway, it's all.
I think they were probably willing to go anywhere that was safer.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. All right. Well, Antonio, do we have a question for the spinner wheel? From the spinner wheel?
Here, I'll spin, and then we'll
Make sure
figure
it's
it
not
out.
too loud.
I hope it's not too loud.
Yeah.
Here, 1 second. Let me just make sure, put some volume on it. All right, here we go. There we go. That's a good volume.
There was like this moment of I'm looking at you. I'm like,
All right. Okay, the question is, what is one fictional character you wish was a real person?
What? What is one?
Who's one fictional character that I wish was a real?
Right. So that means it's not real.
Fictional.
Ooh, you know what
Right?
fiction is.
Yeah. 3rd grade, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. So, good grief. Let's see. Oh, man, this is hard. I can't use this kind of brain power.
I got it. I need Antonio, you got any, I need some primers. I need to get my brain working.
Like, so anyone in a movie?
Movies, books, so...
You cannot choose Jason Bourne.
No, why would he choose Jason Bourne? Jason Bourne's
like Forrest Gump,
Well, like a fictional character, but Jason Bourne's a character, a fictional character, right? So I'm just saying, don't pick him though.
I don't think I would ask for like someone who could be a dangerous human being to like the. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's why I like, for instance, like
I didn't realize it was pertaining to ourselves.
Forrest Gump is fictional.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. You understand what fiction is as well, and I'm glad when you watched Forrest Gump, you knew this is not based on it.
It was amazing. I just want to say.
Oh, when they incorporated him into like real life.
When they did that in 1994, when I saw the preview in the theater for that was coming, and they showed him with like JFK or whatever. At the time, now we watch it and we see JFK talking, and it looks terrible. You know what I mean? His mouth, relatively speaking, to what like you can tell those aren't the words he's saying, right? But then when I saw that technology, I was like, what is happening? That's amazing. Well, okay.
You grade on a curve, so you know when it was made, and so you grade on that.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, I remember it. I remember when it came out being like
Yeah.
blown away by the technology.
There's things that looked amazing in the 90s that if it came out today would look not great.
Yeah.
Not because of it doesn't look good for what we as a general populace can do, but it looks bad because of what the quality, the standard has.
Right.
Sure.
It makes watching stuff from back then surprisingly difficult sometimes for me because I'll go to watch something and I'll be like, oh, that's okay. That came out in 2002 or even 97, right? When we got married, because it doesn't really feel that long ago. And then I'll go to watch it and I'm like, really? Was it like that?
It makes things, particularly in the birth of like computer animation and CG and all that, it makes that very difficult. That's why things from the 70s, 80s, and things that had practical effects, puppeteering, whatever. All of that, you can suspend your disbelief just as much now. It looks just as
yeah.
good.
Now, yeah.
So
I can't think of anybody.
So like it can be from books, it can be from
fiction.
a comic book. I mean, what about like Superman? Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, I'm not saying he's my person.
No, because the existence of Superman in itself invites challenge.
Honey, everybody's gonna have a challenge with everything. Like we're just supposed to pick a person and then why.
I'm making a joke because that's one of the philosophies in like comics is like if the superhero hadn't existed, would challengers and like supervillains have come to arise in the first place?
Oh, I see. So like, is it like a can of worms?
Yeah. Oh man.
Is this a individual that's like supposed to benefit us, or would it just be cool that their story was real?
That is for
Are
you
we supposed to be
decide.
friends?
We're not. There's no supposed to anything about it. Just a fictional character that you wish were real, and then you can decide the parameters around that.
It's a single sentence question.
That's challenging for me because most of the time, when I'm reading a novel or whatever, I read fiction because reality is just so much fun by itself. So I read that, but I don't know that I would want a lot of it to be reality.
Yeah,
like,
I read
like
very
it
little fiction.
I know.
I read only fiction when I do read.
I read. I like biography. If I'm gonna read, I like real true stories.
Right. If I'm gonna do true stories, I like biographies.
Yeah.
So
because it's a difficult question.
That's pretty much all a true story would be, wouldn't it?
A biography?
Sure, because you're writing about a true event.
because it matters if it's a biography has to do with a person. It's about a person.
But when is a story not about a person?
When like a movie like
The Manhattan Project?
Manhattan Project it's not just about Oppenheimer. It's about the entire project.
Sure.
And the whole
Okay.
crew. That's not a biopic.
True enough. True
all right.
enough.
So,
I'm gonna have to go with Mary Poppins again, and she would be my best friend, and she would come over all the time, and she'd help me out. I'm telling you, like, I'm a big fan. I like her a lot.
I don't know.
I mean, man, had she shown up in my childhood, or then like even when I was having hard times in life, and she was there, or when my house was a mess and I had toddlers and little kids and there was just stuff everywhere.
You know what I feel like? I feel like, you know how, like when you watch like little kid shows and stuff, and how adults lose their imagination.
You know who would be great?
I feel like
he'd probably be annoying after a while.
What,
Go ahead. I'm
Steve?
sorry.
Yes.
Yes,
Who?
Steve from Blue's Clues.
He's a real person, though.
No, he is, but
Steve Burns is a real
Blue
person.
is not actually real.
Steve from
though.
Blue's Clues is just Steve. He's not Steve Burns. He's Steve.
He's
him, though.
Steve.
He's real.
Okay, we won't burst that bubble for Dad.
I don't know. Gandalf would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
I'm thinking of some sort of talking animal.
A talking animal,
Yeah.
like Narnia would.
Or
be
not
really
even-
cool.
not even a talking
You want
animal,
Winnie the Pooh?
No, Winnie the Pooh. Too much having to clean up after him. He's caused too many problems. I would not want Winnie the Pooh in my
honey,
house.
He'd be no.
I would not want Winnie. I mean, I love Winnie the Pooh.
You say in your house?
Yeah,
Why
he'd
would
come
he be
over
in your house?
because he'd know I have honey, and he'd be looking for honey, and he'd come and he'd start rummaging through everything.
I mean, have you seen?
It would just be.
Have you watched Winnie the Pooh?
I would become Rabbit.
saying-
He
from
gets
Winnie
like
the Pooh.
stuck in the whole of Rabbit's house
Because he got really fat.
Yeah, billions of people, and he chooses our house, your house.
What?
Like it's not saying, like Like he could go to anybody's
But
house.
if my imagination is going to bring someone to life, then I'm going to assume there's going to be an interaction between myself and that character.
Yeah.
So, because it's not just randomly out there.
I feel sad that my imagination is so weak right now. I just don't
It's because we're tired.
Maybe because like Alvin from Alvin and Chipmunks, he's annoying.
Yeah, totally annoying. Fun to watch on screen, but do not want him in my house.
Garfield.
Oh my gosh, Cassini would be so happy. She loves him so much.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Which totally makes sense.
Something like, I don't know, something.
Well, I think a good
range.
basis for this question is what is a character that is relatively non-problematic and would be interesting to talk to. And so I think that's why my answer would probably be like Gandalf or something.
Yeah, I think again Mary Poppins would be really cool to talk to. But she's kind of like a female Gandalf.
I don't like her.
Why don't you like her?
She's uppity.
She's pompous.
No, she's confident.
I don't care.
She's confident. You.
It's not. She's not confident. She's
confident. She knows what she knows, and
she's
everybody.
Not soft.
She knows. Hold on.
She knows too.
No, she's right. She knows what she knows, and she knows she's better than you, and that's the problem.
Anyway, I'm not. I mean, I like Mary Poppins the movie. I don't know that Mary Poppins the person is someone that I'd want to spend time.
I would want to spend time with the chimney sweep. What's his name? I'm blanking all of a sudden.
Oh, with Dick Van Dyke's character.
Dick Van Dyke's character.
Yeah,
He'd be a fun character.
Powerless
or the laughing dude.
her.
I like
the laughing dude.
You know the laughing.
Hold on. He's not powerless.
He can't jump into the sidewalk.
But he draws the art. He
But
can draw some cool
jump
chalk.
into the sidewalk.
That doesn't matter.
That's the whole point of the
But
sidewalk
he's
chalk.
nice.
She's nice too. She just doesn't compromise what she knows is right.
Okay. Well,
anyway.
I think you would
So
find
at
that
least I came up with somebody. Who would you come up with? Oh, you know who you could come up with that I used to like joke that you were so much like, but not so much anymore. Iron Man. Like if you had been a character way back in the day, I was like, yeah, that guy reminds me of Cosmo. Super smart and kind of arrogant.
Oh, wow.
Like, well, no, I'm not. No, like back in the day.
I don't identify with Iron Man. I like Captain America.
Captain America's pretty great. We're
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, you gotta come up with somebody, Cosmo.
Oh, man.
He's just like Ben Stiller's character from Night at the Museum. He's just,
he's
just a security guard.
I think of I'm trying to think through movies that I like. Like I love Field of Dreams, but
I'm rolling away.
I know my answer.
Okay, what's your answer?
Ted Lasso.
Okay.
Ted Lasso is like
him.
such a nice person.
Yeah, that's true. He's nice.
Yeah, he's a sweetie. He's nice.
Ted Lasso would make the world a better place.
Yeah, he would. But that's. I mean, I don't know. Is that why we're picking people? Because if someone's gonna make,
we pick for whatever
possible.
reason.
It's a possible reason. There's one reason.
If one person, if it's someone that I wish were real, then I'd wish that they made the world a better place.
Yeah, you're not like Sauron.
I wouldn't want Sauron. Yeah, I wouldn't want someone to be like that. I wish. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not like Darth Vader.
I don't know why my fiction world is just
limited.
Is just right now.
I think for me, there's so many people, so many characters that I would be really excited with coming to life.
You can also include characters from like Jane Austen novels, stuff like that, like Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, but I would want to go into their world. I wouldn't want to bring them here.
Yeah, I'll just go with Jerry from Tom and Jerry.
Jerry from Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
The mouse, right?
Yeah. Not the cat.
Yeah. Well, no, they're actually
really good friends.
They're good
like
friends,
best
and they have to keep it going so that they don't get rid of Tom.
So they don't get canceled.
Right.
Neither of them get.
It's a kind of canceling.
Sure.
Yeah.
If cartoons could
All
be
right.
canceled.
All right. That was 15 minutes.
Yeah. That's,
all right. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. The person who asked that question, I apologize for me being so disappointing on that. I have nothing.
Well, I just did the best I could. But I think it's really great for people to have what they think they would, who they would come up with.
You're like how Giovanni was as a kid, where we'd be using our imagination and he could only see the stick as a stick.
Woody.
And I'd be like, it's anything.
Exactly.
Woody. There we go. I pick Woody
Woody?
from Toy Story. I wish Woody were a real character.
Oh, that's nice.
That'd be cool. Except you'd never be able to talk to him because he would just
Flop
around. Yeah. He would just be alone.
That's actually true. Quiet.
All right, I'm gonna
I
spend.
have guilt after that movie. Those movies destroyed me when it comes to toys.
When you put a toy on the shelf.
I know.
You've been shelved.
I know when I'm going to walk out of the room,
When I take
the toy's
stuff-
going to be like, I've been
When I
shelved.
take stuff to the Goodwill.
When we packed all the kids' toys away because they were like outgrowing them, but we wanted to save the ones we wanted to save. I felt so guilty.
Boxing room.
But someday,
Right.
I'm going to have a room that is a game room for my grandkids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have board games and video games and
None of which are
Toys.
sentient. The
Oh.
toys are what are sentient.
what? I'm not even talking about what?
We're talking about in the context of Toy Story. That
No.
was the whole.
No, I just moved past that.
Okay, well you
He
pivoted.
moved on.
Okay.
He moved on.
I'm just talking about someday I want to have like this cool room for my grandkids that I can play with them.
Yeah.
That's really cool, but has nothing to do with the question
Right.
at hand.
So let's move on to the
I'm gonna
next question because
spin-
we're going to go off on a tangent.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that'd be awful.
Yeah. It's like people are like, isn't that what they do? Anyway. All right, son.
Okay. What is one hard lesson from your life? If you could pick one hard
man.
lesson from your life.
Again,
what would
so
it
many
be?
to choose from.
I'm too young to answer this, so I'm just gonna tap
I
out
think
of this.
that's it. You tap out. Yeah, tap out. A hard lesson. Man, what do I choose that's not inappropriate? I mean, there's only so much you can talk about on a podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, so
I mean, the hard lessons from my life are, I think honestly they would be surrounding us. It would be things that it would be the lessons of being as a young husband and just blind and selfish, but blind to my selfishness, and thinking I was better than I was. I don't know. I'm trying to think the hard lessons. That's the there are things that when I feel like when I talk to my sons, to Antonio or Giovanni, who are newlyweds, it's an opportunity that I have when I see, just now Antonio and Emma setting up their apartment, and when we were first married, me not having the wisdom to recognize to see you and for who you were fully, thinking I saw you but I didn't. And
I mean, that's a normal thing to do. We have to be taught not to do that.
And so I love that I can, for all the, my dad gave me so many amazing lessons that I draw from, that I'm thankful for. The one thing I don't agree with that he taught me when I was young, from the time I was little, he'd go, "Son, I'm going to tell you something." He would say, "Women are a mystery. No matter how much you try to understand them, you'll never understand them. So don't even try."
See, that right there, for him to say "don't even try" is completely in contrary to the Bible.
Right. So
Which is surprising to me because he's somebody who was like always
he was
reading
a good,
his.
yeah. So I was like, well, I'll understand them. I was intent on, I was like, I'm gonna understand, but anyway, I think the lesson would be,
Christ-likeness.
yeah,
I mean, you had to learn that. That wasn't even, although you had heard the terminology, the actual action of doing that. I remember when you were like, "What does that even
well,
look
no,
like?"
like it's not there. So there's certain phrases, of course, like Christ-likeness, or the question of dying to self.
Right.
That there are things that I know what it like that we limit to certain areas. And honestly, like dying to self, we a lot of times limit that to some of the physical temptations that you deal with in your youth, dying to the flesh. And so then once you're married and that stuff's not a struggle, you're like, oh, okay, I've got that under control. And you don't see, I guess that's what I didn't see, what I didn't grasp was the me first nature of what sin was. I didn't grasp that at an early age, or as a young man, not just an early age.
I think any kind of self-preservation is the opposite of Christ-likeness, unless it's going to harm other people. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so when we're intent on being on preserving
on self first,
right? So we defend ourselves because it's self-preservation. We justify our actions because it's self-preservation. I just had a conversation with Rivkala and Rafi inside. They'd gotten into an argument, and I was discussing with them how they kept wanting to go over the details of the argument, and I just was like, I don't care what the details actually are, because it's always going to be something. And the details you're never going to remember. What you're going to remember is how you treated each other, and you're responsible for you. Like, I was like, you can't control him and he can't control you. You can only have self-control. Like trying to control anyone else other than yourself, unless of course you're a parent, and even that's to a certain extent, is not one of the fruit of the Spirit. And so I was explaining to them about, I said to Rivkala, because she kept trying to, if I just understood the context, it would change everything, even though there was a different perception on Rafi's side and everything. And I just said, that person in you that this is where it's called dying to self. You continue to feel the need to justify or explain or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That person in you that feels the need to defend yourself, I'm like, that's what it means to die to self. That human person right there, like, you got to get rid of that person, and you have to do what you know.
It's the I must be understood rather than I need to understand.
Right.
But the drive to be understood in that moment can be so blinding. It becomes
emotional.
Everything. It becomes like, no. If you would only hear what I'm trying to say, because I already see the assumption is I already know what you meant. I already understand you. Clearly, you don't understand me. That's the starting assumption.
Or it's you've misunderstood. Your perception is wrong. Let me explain to you what you actually should think and how you should actually feel.
Yeah.
When the reality is, when you when you attempt to understand someone and where they're coming from, a lot of the conflict that we have with people is because we're not understanding them. A lot of the pain that we'll feel, like when we get our feelings hurt or we're offended, it's because we have not actually tried to understand where they're coming from or their perspective. And,
one of the things I think
I do get to answer the question at some point as well.
Yeah,
So
of course.
just
What I was going to say, of course. Let me say this. I think one lesson that if I could have learned earlier, I mean, it's a lesson I still have to learn daily, is a lesson to actually be suspicious of my instincts. To be like, our society says, follow your heart. And we tend to trust ourselves first, or I know I do. And I assume the best of my own intentions, and so to be like, hold on a second, let me just double check, because the heart is deceitful above all things, and I want to lay this before the Lord and not just assume that all my motives are always right where they need to be. Lord, really search me and know me. To learn at a younger age, and to be a little more suspicious of my own instincts would have been a beneficial.
I think it's also a temperament because, like, for me, I was always suspicious of myself because I felt like I never thought I was smart. I didn't think I was right. I didn't think I knew things. Like, I naturally was like born feeling insecure, I suppose. Right. And that's a temperament. Like, it's normal. Like, when I've taken those like personality tests and everything, that's a temperament or a characteristic of my temperament. Mm-hmm. When you've tested, it is natural for you to automatically, like, your instinct, you think you're correct. Right. And so when you naturally think you're correct, it wouldn't occur to you to question yourself or that you might be wrong. Your parents actually have to teach you those kinds of things. Correct. And that's not really what you got.
That's true.
For me, I think that my really challenging life lesson, I don't know how you can know this ahead of time, but like what I love about being my age, I'm going to be 50 in April. And what I like about being my age is recognizing how I don't need people's approval. And just a second, what's happening?
I gotta plug my headphones in. I dropped the cord.
Okay, because it's like there's like noise and like movement, and so I'll just wait a second. You can cut all that out.
No, it's fine. Just continue.
But it's just loud. Is that not?
It's not that loud. No.
Oh, okay.
It's loud to you.
Okay. So I'm gonna be 50 in April, and
wow.
And recognizing that, like, I don't need people's approval. However, because I think the need of people's approval pushed a lot of my decision making and my choices, and I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. A lot of the time, I thought, no, this is my decision, or this is what I'm gonna do, but I wasn't. I didn't realize that it wasn't even my decision, because I did care about what people thought of me as a Rebbitzin. I did care about what people thought of me. Like, I mean, the stress that I was under for my house to be immaculate and perfect because someone might see it and what would they think of me and all of that, when in reality, those people that might have thought those things of me, like, are nowhere in my life. However, at the same time, I think when you're young and you don't have life experience, I think I would have, like, in not caring what people thought, I think I would have made a ton of really selfish, self-centered decisions without considering others, without considering you or our kids, because when you're that young, and you don't even realize it when you're that young, but you are a selfish person. Life, children, marriage, all of that is like the sandpaper of God, and it sands you down and it forms you. So by the time you're my age, you're like, you know what, at this point, I don't need to worry about what people think of me, but I'm also making like way better choices and really living a much better life.
It was one of the, on the other side of that, because for me, that was actually, to some degree, we're always aware and cognizant of what people think of us, and to some degree, we care, and what power we give that is where the issue is. Like, and so like one of these kind of seminal moments in my life that was transformative, I think, in a good way, was like the first day of school when I'm in the 8th grade. And, I went to I was in the same school system with the same kids my whole life. And so we all knew each other. And for that season of my life, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, I was still with the kind of quote unquote cool kids in my grade. But in my classes, I was with, I was in honors classes. And the kids that I really liked hanging out with were nerds. I really enjoyed it. Like, and what I'm saying is they were just nice, and I liked them, and I felt comfortable. I didn't have to perform. And I remember at the beginning of the 8th grade, the first day of school, where, you're all in your first day of school clothes. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting at the cool kid lunch table, and everyone's talking and laughing and doing their thing. And I just was kind of looking down, and I remember thinking, none of these people actually care about me.
Right.
Why am I?
Most people aren't thinking about
They're
other
not
people.
thinking
They're
about me.
thinking about themselves.
None of them care about the clothes. My first day of school clothes. They're worried about their first day of school clothes. I like had this moment where it just kind of hit me. Like, why am I? If I want to hang out with Joel, I'm going to hang out with Joel, even if people think he's a nerd. Why am I trying to please these people? You know what? From now on, I'm going to hang out and spend time with people that I enjoy spending time with. I'm not going to try to do it for that perception. And that was helpful for me in my high school years then to not give in to peer pressure, to be firm in my walk with the Lord. But at the same time, you still have to be concerned about how things affect people.
Right.
But not to let people's opinions drive or control you, because remember, it's like, okay, so if they think that, then what? Then
right.
what is then what?
The question, like, if you follow the then what question all the way down, you realize at the end of the day
they're going to say my house is my house is messy. Okay, well then what? They're going to tell people that I have a messy house. Okay, well then what?
Right. Now, for me in high school, I did not care what anybody thought. I was really a free spirit and just really, like I grew up, like I've said, in Israel. And so I don't remember worrying about what anyone else thought. But we didn't have peer pressure at our school, really. Like, it was a really small school. It was international. We were all so different. So we really had a lot of respect for everybody's differences. We didn't see it as not normal or
right.
whatever. It was the more different you were, the cooler you were, honestly. I'd have to say that if there was one hard lesson that I learned, that I could just and it would not be like something I would go, but then this, like, if there was one hard lesson that I learned, I'd have to say that when I was in college or college age, because I moved around, I lived in Minnesota, I lived in California, I lived in Missouri. So when I was college age, I had really good friends I still have, and I love them dearly. And I was, doing my best. I was renting a room or renting an apartment or whatever. No, I never rented an apartment.
In California, was renting a room.
I rented a room, right. And you talk to your friends and you look to your friends. And I've dated a lot of guys that some were really great guys and some were not good guys. And I started to notice that the one person who was super honest with me all the time was Monica, my sister-in-law, because I've known her since she was in high school. And she would be like, Rivka, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? That's dumb. Why are you doing
say
that?
It just like her. Too.
I know, that's exactly how she says it. Rivka, what are you doing? But nobody else would. And so at first, I really loved my friends, and I mean, I still do. And they would say, oh yeah, that looks fine, or oh yeah, that looks good, or oh yeah, oh no, that's too bad. And I didn't realize it, but friends as friends do kind of tell you what you want to hear. And I didn't know that was happening until I'd gotten out of this really toxic relationship. And my girlfriends were like, yeah, I was thinking the whole time, what is she doing with him? That's terrible and all that. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? And they just didn't want to hurt my feelings. They didn't want to upset me or whatever. But for me, it felt unloved. Like, I felt unloved in not getting the truth. Like, when you love somebody, you're going to tell them the truth, even if they get upset with you because you love them. So in the same way, Monica would be like, what are you doing? Like, that's dumb. Why are you dating this person? This person's an idiot, kind of a thing. And so from that moment on, and you can ask anyone who knows me, and my children especially, I don't think it's their favorite thing about me. But I really believe that when I love somebody, I'm going to tell them the absolute truth. And so, and of course with gentleness and kindness and timing, but I'm going to tell someone the absolute truth. If I feel like it's from the Lord, I will say this is from the Lord. If it's not from the Lord and it's me, I'm real clear about that as well. But when you love somebody and, we see that they may be making poor choices, or it's your kid and you see the red flags that your kid doesn't see, a lot of parents might just be like, like, I don't know, like how you see it on television, or how I've seen other.
What can you do? They're teenagers.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna say something at least, because that's my responsibility. Whether my kid takes that or not, that's another thing. And the same with people. And so I feel like that was a hard lesson learned, because I made some really stupid decisions until I finally realized, wait a second, they're not actually telling me the truth.
I think sometimes the challenge too, though, and we experience this in different ways, is there are people that you go, is this the, like you mentioned, timing? Is this the right time? Is this going to be received? And what I want to do is,
for me personally, like, I'm always okay with
but in terms of speaking into when you go to speak into someone else's life,
there's the not throwing your pearls before swine
like,
analogy.
I want to make sure is to present, because some people get a little careless with that. They're like, you know what, I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I'm just tell you how I feel, and they're not actually, which is not what you're saying to do.
It's not about me.
Yeah, it's saying
if I love
want to bring it to them in a way that they'll receive it, hear it, understand it.
Because again, remember, in all things we have to be Christ-like, and there's nothing that the Lord ever does towards me or anyone that is harmful or you know.
You know, if I were to boil it down, the kind of lesson, I'm trying to think how to state it in a way that, but just, you know, looking at, again, I look at my sons and I think that they have a chance to do so much more, to be so much better than I was. Like I caused so much unintended pain.
But that's a part of the process.
It is, but
I do appreciate what you're saying, but I will say though that without having been challenged and without you having been so flawed, I would not have grown the way I needed to grow.
I understand.
It's an iron sharpening iron. It's not like a husband is supposed to just be like all accepting and never like it's iron sharpening iron.
Sure.
I think from the beginning what was an issue was that maybe we weren't on equal footing. So you felt the right to say everything that you said, but I didn't have the right. So maybe that, because I think you need to be able to challenge one another and
be willing though, when you talk about dying to self, be willing to not have to win. You know what I mean? To not have to.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I told the kids earlier today, I said it comes down to what's more important, your desire to be right and win, or how the other person feels and your relationship with that person.
Here's where we trick ourselves, though. I could trick myself and go, you know, I'm fine with losing. Certain things I'm fine with losing, things that aren't important to me.
Right, as long as you're fine with it, that's not dying to self.
Right, be willing to not win the thing that...
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, as I told Rafi earlier, I said, because he was talking about something that he did not feel was fair. And I said, there's a lot of things that are not going to feel fair because we're all very different. Men and women are very, very different.
Right.
We process differently, we think differently, so it's not going to feel fair. But the most unfair thing that ever happened was when Yeshua died, and died for me, and I didn't deserve that. That was unfair to him. So if he can die and he can lay down his life like that, we can put others first, or we can at least try to put others first, because it's a double lesson. It's that person's learning that they can trust you and have a good relationship with you, and you are also truly maturing and growing the more you crucify that or die to that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, I think, I think that answers the question at this point to the best that we are able to. I mean, that's a pretty broad question, and I'm sure.
I always want to make sure we answer them though, because sometimes, like when I talked with your sister, she was like, "I didn't feel like you answered my question, and I felt bad." I really want to make sure we answer.
You can resend it in, and hone it down.
I don't know that it was unhoned.
No,
we
but
could have just kept talking. It could be on us.
Sure.
That's the point I'm trying to make here.
Sure.
But
and if you have any questions about the Miami Dolphins and their 2-0 start, feel free to ask. Rivka will be happy to answer those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to get a 49ers football thing and put it up in our home.
They're good.
And I know they are. And it's just going to be the 49ers, no Dolphin stuff in the house. You can have Dolphin stuff in here. This is the Dolphin area. You have like a man cave. This little thing here that we meet in now, like for you to do, like you can put your stuff up in here. But in my house, I'm going to have a 49ers thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey everybody. Glad to be back, and sorry if we're a little tired today. Sorry, we'll
get back in the groove of things.
Get back in the groove. Please send in your questions to podcast@shalomaz.com, And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, shalom. Have a beautiful day.